Hey guys, Dantics here with the Borderlands 3 character guide for Zane the Operative. It's no secret that Zane is my favourite out of the 4 playable characters, and it's not just because he's Irish. I've only played around 30 hours of Borderlands 3 so far, but out of that time with the game, Zane has really stood out for the sheer number of fun and interesting builds he has access to, and the ability to have 2 action skills equipped at any time, giving up the ability to manually throw grenades, but as you'll soon see, he can launch them off more effectively than anyone else. Usually I'd run through exactly what the character does and all their abilities, skills and passives. However, since you probably had time to already get to know the characters a bit by now, I'll just give a breakdown of the character and follow it up with 3 potential Zane builds you can run, which will give you an example of how to play Zane. So if you like this content or just want to help me out, drop a like. Also be sure to check out my other character guides if you haven't. Let's get right into it. First, his action skills. Like mentioned, you can have 2 equipped at any time, but this means you can't throw grenades if you do. You unlock all 3 action skills at level 2. The first is Digiclone, which spawns a clone of Zane that stays in place but provides a distraction. Enemies will fire on this clone. It will also fire back with its pistol for light damage. You can swap places with the clone at any time by pressing the action skill again. The cooldown is 28 seconds and lasts quite a while at 15. Next is the Sentinel Drone. It flies around attacking enemies with machine guns. You can force it to target an enemy by pressing the action skill again while under your crosshairs. The cooldown is quite a bit longer than Digiclone at a minute, but it lasts 24 seconds. Last is Barrier. It drops a barrier at your location that blocks incoming projectiles. It also increases the damage of allied projectiles shooting through it by 25%. You can also pick up the barrier and move around with it by pressing the button again. It has a low cooldown of 24 seconds and lasts 14. All of these action skills can be modified with up to 2 augments that are unlocked in the action skills respective tree. Unlike Amara, these augments can't be used on every action skill, only the ones tied to them. So if you want a stronger barrier, for example, you need to invest down the Undercover Tree. Speaking of the Undercover Tree, it focuses around tanking Zane up and cryo damage effects. Doubled Agent focuses around your clone, gun damage and grenades, and the Hitman tree focuses around powerful buffs you get by killing targets. All of these trees have a lot of crossover synergy, which you'll see shortly with some example builds. So the first build focuses around being as explosive as possible. It's about using both the Sentinel Drone and your Digiclone to drop and throw grenades at your enemies while you constantly reload to shoot grenades out your guns. It's a well-tuned engine that needs a bit of an explanation. First, take a look at this skill. Drone Delivery. It makes it so every 15 seconds your drone drops a free grenade based on your currently equipped grenade mod. So getting a powerful grenade mod with this build is a must. Then let's pop over to the Doubled Agent skill tree. Take a look at Fractal Frags. It makes it so as a first action when summoned, your Digiclone throws a grenade at your enemies. This one isn't free, so it will use one from your stock. If you kill an enemy while this clone is active, your clone has a 30% chance to throw another. So naturally the grenades keep flowing like the Amazon River. Next, look at the Duct Tape mod. The first shot fired from your gun now has a 20% chance to also fire a grenade. Naturally, you want a low magazine size weapon like a shotgun, revolver, rocket launcher, or sniper to make good use of this. The grenade fired would also consume one from your stock. Next, let's mosey down to Boom Enhance. This consumes up to 3 grenades in your reserves and multiplies your clone's stats by doing so. It can get up to a 60% gun damage increase, 243% health buff, 15% increased fire rate, and reloads 93% faster with a 75% increased duration. So it'll basically be immortal, constantly firing, reloading in a flash, and lasting ages. This means it'll be firing grenades constantly, absorbing damage for you with the modifications equipped to it and creating chaos. Now, this is a lot of grenades being used, so besides upgrading your grenade capacity, which you can now do with money instead of iridium, how do we keep this engine going? Well, let me introduce you to this kill skill, Pocket Full of Grenades. After killing an enemy, Zane regenerates 20% of his maximum grenades a second for 8 seconds. So over the duration, you'll regenerate up to 160% of your grenades. The total amount restored going up with your maximum carry capacity, so keep boosting it. This is a huge amount of regeneration, and you should not only be firing grenades from your gun, your buffed up clone will be as well with its kill skill, and your drone will be dropping them simultaneously. However, that's not all. Let me show you some of the other bonuses you get when you kill and why it matters. First is Donnybrook on the second tier. It simply gives you 15% more gun damage after you kill an enemy, as well as health regeneration for you and your clone, making it even more tanky. Then moving over to Hitman, we have Violent Speed on the top that simply increases your movement speed by 20% when you kill. Then we have Cool Hand, which increases your reload speed passively and further increases it when you get a kill. Reload speed most definitely helping considering you want those low magazine sized weapons because of the duct tape mod. Salvation grants us 10% lifesteal after killing an enemy, keeping us topped up with health. Dropping down 2 tiers, we have Violent Violence, which increases Zane's fire rate by 20% after killing, which further benefits duct tape mod. Then we have Good Misfortune, which increases the duration of your action skills each time you kill an enemy, which obviously means more grenades coming out, but also means more damage and more tankiness. Moving back up, we have Death Follows Close, which increases the duration of all those kill skill effects as well as boosting their effectiveness by 25%, which means, for example, with Pocket Full of Grenades, you'll be regenerating grenades for 15 seconds instead of for 8 when you kill, and be regenerating 25% of your grenades instead of 20%. This means you'll be regenerating a total of 375% of your grenades every time you kill an enemy. Plus, you'll be getting extended action skill duration, fire rate, reload speed, movement speed, gun damage regeneration, and free grenades fired. Sounds pretty cool, but it gets even better. With Seeing Red, you can activate all those kill effects instantly when you activate an action skill. Wow. So by activating your digiclone, this is what happens. You consume 3 of your grenades to make it ridiculously strong. It then throws a grenade and has a chance to throw another straight away. You and your clone will be hitting much harder and regenerating health while you get super powered with the buffs I mentioned previously. All the while you are regenerating your grenades faster than you can use them. If that ever wears off, you can activate your drone, starting the regeneration and the super buffs again and dropping further grenades. Now I'll cover the skills that aren't required for the build that just enhance it. First is Borrowed Time. Simply put, it just increases the duration of your action skills. If you rather have more damage, then invest in Synchronicity, but this build is all about those grenades. Next is Quick Breather. This makes it so when you swap with your clone, which you should be doing often to get it into enemies' faces, you'll be instantly starting to recharge your shields. You might as well have some tanks since it's all about your action skills. Old U gives you an oh shit button, letting you consume your digiclone in order to fully heal when you're downed. Moving over to Hitman, how you want to modify your Sentinel Drone is up to you, but I found bad doses, increased movement speed and fire rate helped Zane get those grenades out more often. Then I slotted in Boomsday because more explosions. Though I guess Almighty Dronets does the same thing and makes your drone last longer. And that's the Hitman Doubled Agent Grenade build. It's a lot of fun and absolutely destroys enemies. You want to get a powerful grenade mod, and if you're grouping with friends, let them know that's what you need. When it comes to class mods, you want to buff up anything to do with your grenades, obviously, but keep an eye out for anything that buffs your kill skills as well. Ideally, you want a powerful single-shot shotgun so you can pump out the nades. You won't be the tankiest character around, so make sure to swap with your clone often to let it taunt with the augment which one is real, and start regenerating your shields with Quick Breather. Why didn't you get double barrel, Dan? It's so good. Well, first you can't get both double barrel and Seeing Red, but if you want, you can sacrifice some reliable grenade regen for it. Second, the next build is all about that super buff clone. It's focused around keeping your super strong Goku-like clone out forever and your barrier skill too, but that's cool. With this build, you'll be extremely hard to kill while you'll be relying on your clone to deal the pain for you. So first I want to explain how this build works. Let's start over in the Doubled Agent skill tree where you'll see many of the same skills we've already gone through, except there's no investment in duct tape mod. Instead it's all about that clone, investing in double barrel at the end. Let me say from personal experience, getting a gun that's stupidly powerful like a rocket launcher, sniper or other hard hitting low magazine and low ammo size weapon absolutely demolishes because your clone not only equips it with Boom Enhance, it fires stupidly fast with it, doesn't spend any time at all reloading. Actually, it doesn't even seem like it's reloading to be honest, but it also never misses a target except for the slow projectile weapons. The extra gun damage is just a bonus. Now, you know where most of our damage is coming from, but what else helps? Well, take notes. First, the augment on Zane's clone makes it so you can freeze enemies around you and Zane. Then, moving on over to the Undercover Tree, we see Brain Freeze. This makes it so crits will slow and eventually freeze enemies. I can't stress enough how powerful the freeze effects are in Borderlands 3. It completely stops enemies in their tracks, letting you continue the crits or move on to the next target. Plus, it looks cool. However, we need frozen targets for another reason. Before that though, we'll be freezing even more targets with best served cold. When we kill, we create a nova of cryo. Then we have multiple ways to freeze targets, not to mention more if we have cryo-based weapons. But what do we do with this effect besides the obvious crowd control and reducing the damage coming to us? Well, with Calm, Cool and Collected, you either instantly start recharging your shields if they're low, or if they're full, you start recharging health, or if that's full, your action skills are immediately reset. Since we have a lot of ways to keep our shields and health high, which I'll go through soon, you'll be basically always resetting the cooldowns on your action skills and keeping your God tier clone out and your barrier active. Speaking of barrier, it'll block all projectile weapons and you can pick it up and take it with you. With All-Rounder, you can cover your whole body, and with Retaliation, you'll be doing more gun damage during it. With Calm, Cool and Collected, you'll basically have unlimited barrier, the only thing being able to kill you being either melee or non-bullet projectile based damage. If anything ever manages to get through your barrier, you have 30% larger shields with Hearty Stock, increasing your shield recharge rate and reduced delay with Ready for Action, a damage resistance to the damage type you were just damaged with, which stacks with Futility Belt, which gives you a resistance to non-elemental damage types, and after killing an enemy, makes all damage types that hit you non-elemental. You'll be basically taking no damage after a kill, and since that means less elemental status effects, we won't really need expensive jacket. Save your money. We also have a single point into refreshment, which makes it so when you hit a frozen enemy, you get 8% of your damage back as health. It's just a slight top up since everything will be freezing. While shields are active, you'll get increased gun damage and accuracy the higher they are, which should be very high considering you always have a barrier. Have so much regen, your clone takes damage for you and restores your shields, and if we move back to the double agent tree, you'll have quick breather as well. If anything goes wrong, you can use old you to get a second wind. Your clone will almost always be alive as it's more tanky than you, and since it'll be off cooldown with Calm, Cool and Collected, you can just recast it again. New you doesn't have a cooldown, so it'll be close to impossible to die if there's enemies around you and you keep freezing enemies. Now, if you find yourself in a position of having a good shield mod, you can transition over into an even tankier cryo damage build, with a large investment in the Undercover skill tree. Everything gathered here is to just keep your shields and health high and to have unlimited barriers which take the effect of your current shield mod and give that bonus to your team. Something to mention is these last two builds are incredibly useful in the team setting as barriers and cryo effects help immeasurably. So with this extreme tank, we're getting rid of the digiclone and going down the Hitman path to pick up the Sentinel Drone to consistently freeze enemies with Winter's Drone augment and drain enemy shields and give them back to you with Static Field. You also get a more reliable way to apply cryo damage with Cold Bore and further health regeneration with Salvation. Your kill skills will be boosted with Death Follows, which includes Salvation, and if we cross back to Undercover, it will also affect Best Served Cold, which is used for the cryo effect and not the damage, so only 1 point is needed. While enemies are frozen, you'll be getting that 24% health steal. Overall, you lack the new you passive, but I don't see you ever dying between your crazy barrier skill being hugely buffed by your shield mod, your crazy high shields and regeneration, your massive damage and status resistance, keeping all the enemies around you slowed or frozen, and the ability to replace your barriers and drones instantly. So the first build benefits greatly from having grenade mods, the second build benefits greatly from having a powerful weapon, and the third benefits greatly from cryo weapons and a powerful shield mod. Preferably one that sets off a cryo nova when depleted to combo even more effectively with your build. I'm positive the wheels are turning in your brain right now thinking of Zane builds, and no doubt a lot of you want to rush to the comments to correct my choices. Keep in mind that you should always run what you find the most fun, and if you don't enjoy what you have, you can always respec. If you guys want to see the builds for yourself, check the links in the comments. So thank you so much for watching. If you haven't already, be sure to watch the guides for Amara, Mose and Flak in the comments. Hopefully you'll have a better idea of who you like to play come release. I'll be back very soon with more Borderlands 3 and other RPGs.